game like StarCraft being like one of the textbook examples of a game where, yeah, you can play, even if you're not very good at it. But man, if you're good, you are good, right? And you can tell if you're good. A mediocre player will never, ever, ever, ever beat a good player. Because there's like such a huge gap between like what a good player can do and what mediocre players can do within that game. Just through execution, just through knowing the game, clicking the right buttons at the right time, somehow that's so complicated that a good player, you'll never beat them. And so at the top end of StarCraft, there is a pretty lively community of people like sharing their secrets, trying to like solve problems, trying to get better at the game. But on the lower level, you're just starting out, you can just play, right? And you'll play, like you won't beat anyone, but but you can play. In a way, a lot of the MOBAs have tried to do this too. League of Legends, Dota. You don't need a friend to get started, like you don't need a friend to tell you how to make a shovel. But within like a week, probably within a couple of days to be honest, within a week you will want to look things up because you realize how deep the game is and that you can't figure anything out on your own with any sort of efficiency. I feel like that's a pretty good balance. StarCraft 2, and I guess StarCraft 1 as well, you can play through the single player campaign without any help. Can you? Yeah, you probably can. You can. You can play through the single player campaign without any help. Multiplayer, you'll probably need help. Curiously, Heroes of the Storm, which is quote-unquote dead game now, Heroes of the Storm, they've made it so accessible that you don't really need other people's help to play, really at all. And that game has died. Foxplay says, I mean, with StarCraft single player is like mechanics, multi is mostly tactics. Yeah. Yeah. Although mechanics too in multiplayer. I mean, if you if you can't click on the right buttons at the right time, if you just misclick all the time, you're gonna lose in multiplayer too. But yes, I mean, I see what you're saying, Fox. I mean, if you understand tactics, you do a lot better in the single player as well. Yeah, like Heroes of the Storm, the game, like the esports aspect just died. And now that I'm just thinking about this, maybe it's because it was too easy. Esports to some extent requires community, right? It requires your player base to like wanna have a shared experience with other players. That's esports. Right, like you talk to people, oh, did you see this team beat this other team? What a play. And you want to talk about this stuff with other people. But to build the community, maybe the game has to be obscure enough that you kind of have to ask other people to get good. Right, like Dota, stuff like last hitting the creeps, you're like, what on earth is that? How would you ever think of that if you just never talk to anyone about Dota? You wouldn't think of that, right? Even like basic things like last hitting, you wouldn't think of on your own. Oh crap, I just knocked out a bit of the circuit. Let me be careful here. And I guess the upside of having an obscure game like that is the social aspect of the game follows more naturally, I guess. Fox says, from what I saw from Heroes of the Storm, there were just never any real moments during matches that could define it from another match. It was like, and it is partly because the game is like so easy to play that as a player, nothing you really did made a huge difference. Of course it makes some difference, but it doesn't make a huge difference, and it's not that noticeable either, the difference that it makes in terms of like individual player skill. I mean, there's some nutty stuff that you can do in Heroes of the Storm. Ah crap, I broke that again. Did I break anything? I did break something. Hold on, let me put this back before I forget. Oops. Like some characters you can pull people or throw people, and like theoretically if you have several of those on the same team, like you can just like pull people along this thing, you just chain them, you just like pull them, throw them, pull them again, and then you like get them a long distance, and you can like hijack people apparently. Theoretically you can just, like use that to isolate other team members, other enemy team members. I keep breaking this stuff, and this one's actually quite hard to fix. Alright, let me... But shenanigans like that don't happen that often. Whereas a game like Dota, there's some pretty OP stuff that you do see in high level matches. Although maybe there's less of that now. Fox says, I'm not sure the worth of playing characters for shenanigans versus tactics, at least from an esports perspective over messing with friends. No, but what I'm... Okay, I guess I didn't finish my thought. What I'm saying is, if the shenanigans actually work, at high level esports. They're not just shenanigans because they look funny, but they actually wreck the other team if you pull it off. Those kind of shenanigans. Like, that's what makes the esports exciting. It's like, not only is it interesting to look at, but it also just actually works. Are you familiar with Dota and how there used to be fountain hooking? You would hook with whatever Pudge is, like Pudge hooks people, and then Io can teleport people, and so you hook and teleport at the same time, and you teleport in the enemy hero into your fountain, and the fountain kills them. That's a thing that actually works even at high level. Or it used to, they patched it out, I think. Fox says, is the highlight reel and the players that pull it off more frequently that builds fan bases, I think. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like ridiculous stuff like, you know, the hook and teleport combo. Or was it Chen? Who teleports? Was it Chen who teleports? No, Io teleports himself. Chen teleports someone else. It's Pudge and Chen, right? But it's like ridiculous stuff that you normally wouldn't try because it's so unlikely to work. Except that if your players are really good, then they are skillful enough to pull that off, even at high level. One, two, three, four, five. Fox says, I'm not familiar with Dota, but similar stuff has happened in League of Legends that I understand. Yeah. I guess, like in real life, you would compare that to, like, say soccer. Somebody does like a window kick and scores a goal, and you're like, why on earth would you do that? I mean, yeah, you would because it's fast, and the enemy team is not expecting it. So the fact that, like, it's spectacular, and it works, and it wins games at high level, that's the sort of stuff that really, like, sucks the audience in. Like ridiculous long-range acrobatic goals in soccer is one of the things that makes it so popular, right? And I guess the same sort of thing in like basketball. You're dunking people in basketball. Like, you don't have to dunk on people, but dunking on people does sometimes win games. In fact, the way Heroes of the Storm had been like designed over the years, it's almost like they deliberately remove the more egregious examples of dunking. Fox says, and people love it when those things win games more than just normal play. Yeah, definitely. Heroes of the Storm, it's like they actively discourage dunking. They used to be Chromie. I used to play Chromie a lot. The design of Chromie is basically all her attacks are slow. They take like anything from 1 to like 3 seconds to come out. No, not, I guess 2 seconds. But they do a lot of damage. Fox says, I've heard it argued that HOTS was so team-based it removed the individual dunk plays. It kind of does. You're right, Fox, it kind of does. Like what I'm saying right now with Chromie is, Chromie used to be you could individually wreck people if you could read the opponent, right? Because her attacks are slow but powerful. So if you could like get into the opponent's heads and you can like predict where they'll be like a second from now, then you could like absolutely destroy them with these high damage but slow attacks. But they nerfed her. They nerfed her to make her damage less strong and easier to dodge, because I guess people didn't enjoy getting dunked on. Which of course people don't like getting dunked. But if you remove that from the game, then you're basically making the game less skill intensive and also like less awesome for the guy doing the dunking. So you're kind of punishing the guy who's good to reward the guy who's bad. Like imagine if they literally banned the dunking in basketball. Like your hands cannot touch the rims of the basket. If they literally banned dunking, basketball would be significantly less interesting, right? Fox says League moved a lot in that direction too, and I saw a heck of a lot of people drop it because of it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess they're thinking of like new player versus good player. Like we don't want to have the new players get dunked on all the time, because then the new players don't want to keep playing. But then if you remove the dunking, then the people who are actually good at the game don't want to play. How is this less interesting than mind-numbingly boring? Not a basketball fan, however. Fox says League moved a lot in that direction too, and I saw a heck of a lot of people drop it because of it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing with competitive games is that they are competitive, right? You kind of wanna, to some extent, you kind of have to encourage the competitive spirit of wanting to dunk on people. Harvard says, grew up in the UK, I like proper sports. There's no dunking in cricket. What is the equivalent to dunking in cricket? I guess you'd like hit for a 6 or something. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It kind of is dunking. Yeah, 6. It's a lot slower, however. It's like a slow dunk. Like you whack it really hard, and it takes maybe like half a minute to fly out of the boundary. It's a slow motion dunking. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Half a minute, says Hava. Like they hit it out, and then they have to find the ball again, and then they have to throw the ball back after they find it. Let's see, get to there. Fox says, as someone from and in the UK, I know more people interested in American sport than UK, except maybe rugby. Well, I mean, the Americans, they do know how to make their sports spectacular, right? They're the spectacle sports. Harvard says rugby is American football for real men who don't need pants.